He joined our Chris Welch. He's the catching coordinator for the Reds, and another edition of Tech Talk.
We continue to talk catching with Mike Stefanski here on our Baseball Tech Talk. And Mike, we covered the stance for a catcher with nobody on base, relaxed, and how your elbows are and so on. But now here's the pressure on the catcher. You got a runner on base, maybe even an aggressive runner who can steal a base. How do things change with a runner on base?
Okay. Well, as we talked about before, in a resting stance or nobody on base, I just want to be comfortable. This is a stance that I can sit in a long period of time. Now, if we get guys on base, or in a situation where a ball in the dirt where we need to block the ball or we need to make a throw, we have to position ourselves accordingly. So the first thing I'm going to do with my feet is I'm still going to maintain some depth with my right foot, but I'm going to gain some width. I'm going to gain some width, just like a basketball player would do with his feet if he's going to guard somebody. He's going to get an athletic width. So I'm going to widen my feet out, still create some depth, and then I'm going to go down into this position here, where I can't be too low because that's a lazy position, or too high. So I land and I'm in this position here. Now from this position here, I'm able to block as well as generate footwork all from the same stance. So now if the guy steals, I generate footwork. If the ball's in the dirt, then I go to block. But that stance has to be unique because you have to be able to do both out of the same stance.
All right, now when do you get into that stance? I mean, when do you flash a sign to the pitcher, and then when do you kind of get into that ready stance?
That's a good question too, because some guys transition to the stance differently. So let's say I give my sign, I go into a sign-giving stance, and I call a slider or a fastball. Locations here, over here. Now for me to transition my body to the outside or inside corner, I can do one of two things. One way is to step into my stance and get it, or the other is to hop. I do a quick hop and I get into my base. So you can see, no matter how I get into my stance, catchers are responsible to muscle memory that stance the best they can, so that they can get it that quickly.
I mean, do umpires or pitchers, do they request one way or another, or is it just what's comfortable for that catcher?
Well, the umpire will always go around the catcher, but sometimes the catcher-umpire relationship gets skewed when you set up late, because we want our catchers to set up as late as possible, because we don't want any situation where somebody's going to tip location from a base runner at second base is going to tip location to a hitter. So we want our guys to set up as late as possible. So, I mean, the more umpires get to know catchers and they know that, I think umpires get a feel and they wait and then they come in. So I think it's more important, it's really important. Like a guy like Devin, maybe when he first came into the league, umpires were like, oh man, I can't umpire behind this guy. But as they get to know him, and he's been in the league long enough, now they just know him and then they just interact. I think it's a good thing to have some experience with them umpires too.
Well, talk about baseball experience.